Okay, so yeah, we had, like you said, we had some good news. We had market started to recover. I haven't looked at this chart since we charted it together, so let me pull these over. You can see that all of the areas of support and resistance have been respected. Um, Price actually came down and wicked this trend line that we had drawn into the future. So that to me is a pretty good sign of reversal. Now, if we break below this level, then we are going to be in for a ride. Let me see if there's anything else that I see. The only other thing that I see is that this could potentially be an area. Yeah, George. So there's a lot of speculation that the market makers are kind of just playing around with it, trying to shake the weak hands, so to speak, so that they can scoop it up before it rockets. Um, so hopefully that is what's actually happening. I will say that in the past, every time we've had a really bearish BS market like this, it's always turned around really aggressively, and everything's made new highs. So that's encouraging for me at least. But yeah, I would say that if you're waiting for an opportunity to get into Bitcoin, that it's not a bad time, but I would wait for a clearer reversal. And we may see something like, now depending on if the market tries to fake us out again, we may see something like this where it comes up and then crashes back down through the trend line. So you just want to watch for that fake out. I would probably wait until we get. I would probably wait until we get over the 10,000 mark before making any orders. And you may miss out on a little bit of profit, but it's going to protect you a lot more from um, the bull trap. Because if we break above this descending trend here, then we may find resistance there, but there's going to be an area of support right underneath it that will encourage price to move back up. Ooh, like that. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. If we see it find resistance at this, change this so people don't get confused. If we find support, or if we find resistance at this descending trend right here, and it falls back down, I would probably expect it to break through this trend line. So we might be in for a ride if that happens. So at the moment, I would just kind of hold tight. If you have Bitcoin or you're in these altcoins that we're in, my account's lower than it's been in a really long time at the moment. So I'm just kind of hanging on. I've been playing around with the margin trading a little bit just to make a little bit of money in the meantime. That's something that I'm going to do a separate webinar on soon. I'm still, getting it all figured out because margin trading cryptos isn't something that I've done before. Now it's basically the same gist as trading forex. So the learning curve is not too crazy, but it's something that I'm working on. Okay, so let me pull up. Let's take a look at Litecoin also. So Litecoin broke through the ascending trend that we had right here. And when that happened, it fell back to the next area of support. This is support now, so we're going to make it orange. So it fell down to the previous level of support that we have here at the 61.8 of the big move. And it double bottomed here. So it came down, it tapped the very bottom of the zone that we had drawn. And again, I haven't played with any of these charts since our last webinar. So it's kind of interesting to see that actually came down and hit right at the edge of the zone that we had drawn. But came down, tapped the bottom of the zone, and then now it is looking for a double bottom. So I would say it's a pretty good buying opportunity for Litecoin. We've already found support there. It came back up. It's kind of moving in this zone. So I guess it's something to look for would be to see if it's going to play around in this area before going back up. If not, go back up directly. That just depends on how the market recovers. Oh, that's not what I wanted. All right. So let me see if I see anything else. No, that's pretty much my thoughts on Litecoin. There's a couple other really weak trend lines that I see here, but it's nothing that I think anyone here should worry about too much. The only thing that I would maybe keep an eye on is this. So this is going to be acting as resistance in this case. So we may see this scenario be a little bit more likely. It may come up and first double bottom before a triple bottom before breaking out. So we may see it find resistance at this area because there is a descending trend line there. And then typically after you have the first trend line test and rejection, it breaks through the second time. So we may see this look more like that. Okay, those are kind of the two scenarios that I'm working with. Any questions about Litecoin? If not, just let me know what alts you want to see. I've been pretty busy and still recovering from being sick, so I haven't really done a whole lot of charting on my own. So I'm going to be looking at a lot of these for the first time with you guys since our last webinar. Okay, so this ended up playing out similarly to what we had drawn, right? Only difference is that it hasn't broken out of the... So I'm just going to kind of reposition some of these because I still think that's pretty likely. So we see this arrow that I had pointed down. We're still moving down in this channel. We have just been working along the bottom side of this trend line right here. So it broke through, but then it popped right back up into the trend. So we are safe and sound within this channel. Unfortunately, it's just continuing to drop while in this channel. So when it popped out, we established a new trend to keep in mind right here. I'm going to change that to blue. Kevin's in the office making noise. So that is my thoughts on PO. Hasn't really changed a whole lot except for when it broke out of this bottom triangle, it's just kind of stayed in this unfortunate channel lowering. So I don't know how far down this is going to go before it breaks out. But Same story applies. If you are keeping an eye on Poe, wait for it to break out of this channel, wherever that may happen. Anywhere along here, wait for it to break out of the channel, and then retest this area of resistance, and then we're going to be on the move up. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Doge, so if you can trade it for something else that you have a little bit more faith in, then I don't think that's a bad idea. The one thing that I will say about Doge is that it's been around for a while, and it doesn't really seem like it's going anywhere. It doesn't really have a purpose. It's just kind of a joke coin, but there's a large enough community trying to keep it alive that it's just kind of persevering. Heard they're doing a burn in December. I don't really know anything about that personally, but if so, it might be worth just hanging on to just to, see what happens with it. If you're getting it for free, there's no harm in keeping it and just kind of seeing what happens. Yeah, I think I'd rather have XP than Doge personally, if you're trying to decide between the two. All right. Snovio. Yeah, Snovio has been bottoming out for a while. I don't think it's on. No, it's not on here yet. Someone remind me to do Snov at the end when I log into KuCoin, because I can't get it on TradingView still. It's kind of annoying. ICX. Get rid of all these extra drawing tools that I don't need. It's been a while since we've charted this one. That's not really relevant anymore. It's not relevant anymore. Oops, sorry guys. That is my dog and Kevin. Sorry, I muted myself while Kevin was making noise. So we are in a really sloppy downtrend. You can see that it's coinciding with this downward trend line. This was support. It's broken out of that and just continues to fall. let's see if I have an area for the next target. Technically, this is one big support zone that seems to be being respected, so that's a decent sign. If not, the next area that we have based on technicals is way down here, and that would be really depressing. Let's see. Really hoping it doesn't come to that. As soon as the market turns around, ICX should go with it. I don't think we have a trade open on ICX. I think we hit 100% on it, but I could be wrong. Either way, I know there's a lot of you guys that are in ICX. Once we do just missed 100%, it's really unfortunate. That is not great luck for us. Let's see. So that's probably still worth keeping on there. So hopefully we see this support respected. If so, there's another area of resistance right here. So I'm going to lower that a little bit since it's probably going to look more like that. So scenario number 2 would be this continuing to drop down to here. Really hoping that does not end up being the situation. And that's going to look something like this before continuing on to the same. So this is kind of a... Nah. Bottom line with ICX is that we need to see it break out of this downward channel that it's been in for the past month. Until it breaks out of that zone, we're not really... We need to break through that. We need the market to turn around already. Enough is enough. So Aeon is basically doing the same thing. It's just sitting on a floor. Technically, this entire area is support, but we'll break it up. This is like the absolute lowest. You can see that these two levels right here are come on, there it goes. These two levels right here are equal. So we're not making any more lower market structure, right? So, I mean, if we had, so if this had come down and landed right here, then we would be looking to continue onward. But the fact that it came down and it found support at this level without making a new low tells me that the bloodshed is probably over for Aeon. It's at its lowest point since it started. It's not really relevant. This triangle right here is when I would have expected it to go up, but with all the FUD going around, I'm not really surprised that nothing is following technicals right now. You can see when it broke out of this triangle, it did make an upward movement, and then it just came down and settled again. When we broke out of this triangle, I would have really liked to see this pop out and find support outside of the trend line before continuing on. It popped back into the pattern, just a little bit obnoxious, but we need to see this. We need to see it come down and find support in this zone before going up, not go back into the triangle. So this little mini triangle right now is what we need to be looking at. We're at pretty much 100% retracement. So it's definitely not a bad time to buy if you're not already in it. 100% retracement is not too common. Let's see. So this could kind of be considered. Sorry, let me look at this real quick and see. Nah. Dadgummit. Delete. Man, so many of these look familiar, right? All of these patterns, all of these things making triangle patterns. So it looks like we found support on Redcoin. I'm surprised this didn't come up and wick this. Very surprised, actually. Well, wait. All right, so if I go wick to wick, then it did hit it. I was off on the wick over here a little bit. Feels like same story, different coin. Everything's just kind of at the 100% retracement, waiting to see what happens. A trend line can be drawn here since it did not break the 100% retracement. So we're kind of just waiting to see what happens here. Let's see. Okay. So this isn't really a triangle formation, but this is a psychological level that people are going to be looking for. So I wanted something else to guide us in our red coin predictions. So So the 618 retracement is probably where therapy session. Yeah, crypto takes a lot of patience, for sure. Walkthrough on JFAX. I'm not really all that familiar with JFAX yet, so it'd be tough for me to walk you through it, but let me see if... That's Java. I'll see if I can find a good YouTube video that has, how to buy. Yeah. I mean, I can't walk through it on the computer because I only have it on my phone, but I can make a screen recording on my phone of it and then post it. I just need to, everyone make sure you download, well, first of all, you can't even get access to open up your MetaTrader 4 account until you verify everything on your JAFX account, as far as I know. I believe it made me wait to verify, wait until I was verified, and I think it made Kevin wait as well. So I'm not an expert on it yet. I just made my account yesterday, but my advice would be to make sure that you submit your residence and ID, your personal identification, and your proof of address to JAFX, and then that way you can get that ball rolling as well. And I'll make a video about how to, and make sure you download MetaTrader 4 on your phone. It's available for iPhones and Android. There is a MetaTrader 5 as well. You don't want MetaTrader 5, you want MetaTrader 4. There's a long, unnecessary explanation for why we use 4 instead of 5, but rather than get into that, just download 4 instead of 5. And so get that installed on your phone and submit your documentation for JAFX, and I'll submit a how-to, or I'll make a little how-to video, and we can go from there. Kevin also said that he's willing to make a tutorial video too, because he just went through it yesterday. So one way or another, we'll get instructions to everyone on how to use it. How hard is it to learn? Maybe a 3 or a 2. It's really not difficult. Forex trading is simple. I mean, if you have already, the most difficult part about it is familiarizing yourself with charting. And George, you've been on just about every webinar that I've had, so I know you're familiar with charting. Whether or not you are comfortable doing it is not really an issue, as long as you're familiar with it. You know what a chart looks like and the gist of what candles are and what they do. That's the most confusing part for most people that use MetaTrader. So beyond that, how to actually place orders to buy and sell is super simple. So everyone here will be perfectly fine. Just make sure you set up the accounts, because it's not, as far as I know, it's not possible for me to, or it's not possible for you to learn how to do it without having the account set up. So step 1 would be setting up the accounts, submitting the documentation for verification. And that way, once I get the video out, everyone will be verified and ready to go. All right, next coin you guys want to see? Fun. Fun, fun, fun. Since we aren't having any, let's take a look at it. I like that. Well, it obviously did not do what we drew for it to do. Just like everything else crypto related as of late, because the market hates us. Oh boy. All right, there's a lot going on here. Let me get my bearings. Okay, so this was respected as resistance. Yeah, so funny little story. I don't know how many of you guys I don't know how long you guys have been trading, right? I've been trading several years now. I've been trading cryptos in particular for over a year. I was almost 2 years now, actually. So I was trading cryptos before it was cool, before it was mainstream. And so I was in Colorado, start of September, end of August, with my New Horizon guys. We were there for one of our quarterly meetings. New Horizon crew meets quarterly to revise our content, improve, figure out new strategies, et cetera, et cetera. So I was there in Breckenridge, Colorado, when the China FUD happened. This was towards the end of August, early September. At the time, my account was not in the 6 figures. It was in the, couple dozen thousand figures. And my account dropped by 60 or 70% while I was in Colorado with them. And I was freaking out, because this was the first big drop that we had. Last January of 2017, there was a pretty big crash, but that was nothing compared to the China FUD crash that we had in August. So I'm freaking out. Bryce Young is there with me too. He's also a crypto investor. He was freaking out too. Nothing like we had seen before. Lost 75% of our account. And as of December, 3 months later, my account was 5 or 6 times what it was before the China crash. I think, I'm just throwing out figures because, well, I don't really want to throw out figures because I don't want to make it seem like I'm boastful or anything. But I mean, it was 5 or 6 times more what it was during the China FUD. And we were just looking back at it, laughing at how much we were freaking out about the China stuff, because everybody panicked. Everybody thought it was the end of cryptos. Bitcoin dropped more than 100% or more than 50%. And, it was wild. And we just looked back in December thinking, wow, that was pretty funny. And I honestly believe it's going to be the same situation. 3 months down the road from now, we're going to have, a $30,000 or $40,000 Bitcoin price. All these altcoins are going to be 5-6 times more than they are now. And it's going to be hilarious for all of us. So I'm looking forward to that. These times right now is when our perseverance is really tested. And I've learned this time and time again from the crypto industry is that the market is so heavily manipulated that the market makers are really going to go out of their way to try to shake the weak hands, right? They're going to try to make you think that it's the end, and they're going to try to make you panic sell. And we just, the ones that are going to be looking back at it laughing are the ones that don't panic sell. Going to say to each other, we should have bought more. I was saying that to my, I sure was saying that last December when everything, when we went from, because trying to remember exactly what it was, but when China FUD happened, we were sitting at a 200 billion market cap, somewhere like that, 200 billion. So even right now, and it's funny how perception works, right? Because even right now, with all of the crashing and the drama, everybody's saying that crypto is dying. Even right now, we're more than double the market cap we were at before the China FUD crash. So you really got to keep these things in perspective. And the market is very bearish right now, but compared to the bullish market that we had last August, we're still more than double where we were at. And so everybody just needs to calm down. I understand, you guys are in this service to make money. Unfortunately, the thing about crypto signals is that it requires a lot of patience sometimes. I do a lot of the research to find the good coins that are going to make money within the next couple months. But unlike Forex signals, it's not instant gratification often. And once the market does turn around, we're going to hit a lot of 100% on all of our trades and everyone's going to be really happy. But for the time being, it's a lot of sad feelings and therapy sessions as as it was noted before. But I want to encourage you guys to try to remain calm and not let it get to your head, because that's what they want, is for it to get to your head. Exactly. Even if you can just throw a little bit at some of these coins, even if that $30 turns into $120 during the recovery, money is money. You made money. You don't have to have thousands of dollars to put into coins. Well, long story short, while I was yapping, we are in a really massive descending triangle pattern for fun. It's kind of sloppy, but it is a valid triangle pattern. We're at the base level support for it. You can see this area right here is where the support is. Let me pull up RSI. Where did my RSI go? Oh, I pulled it some crazy direction. 1 second. There it is. All right, so RSI is actually not really telling us anything helpful. So never mind, ignore RSI. But we're at a really firm base level here. I would probably expect this to come up and hit this area, which is going to be treated as resistance. It's either going to break through here, depending on how the market recovers. It's going to break through this area. It's going to break right through the top of that, or it's going to find resistance in this area and then bounce back down. It'll probably do another hit. Only thing that kind of worries me, and I don't really expect this pattern to play out because just because of the fact that the market is probably going to recover and fun is going to recover with it, just like all the other altcoins are going to. But there is a head and shoulders pattern. There's a valid head and shoulders pattern here. So that is that's something to maybe watch for. So let's say it does come up and find resistance there. That's technically a head and shoulders. And if we see this head and shoulders pattern complete, we're going to be looking for that area for completion of the pattern, which just so happens to also coincide with an area of support. So that's maybe something to keep your eye on. I don't want to say that that's probable, just because when the market starts to recover, Ryan Donnelly, hello. You're not usually in here. Maybe you are and you're just quiet usually. So there is a head and shoulders, bottom line, that we're going to want to keep an eye out for. Now, if we see this arrow bust through and do that, then that head and shoulders is invalid. So we're really just going to need to see how it behaves. If you're looking for an entry on fun, I probably would wait. If I'm being honest, it's probably going to go up from here, and that's another 20%. So you could probably scalp it, but if you're looking for a really long-term hold, I would wait to make sure it's not going to do this 40% drop. Because if this head and shoulder pattern completes this right shoulder, there's going to be an increased probability of it breaking this neckline and dropping down to this next level of support. And if we didn't have any price action underneath this level, then I wouldn't be too worried about it. But the fact that we do have price action beneath this level, fun is not actually at its all-time low right now. So because fun is not at its all-time low right now, if this pattern completes, we might see some selling pressure. So I would recommend waiting. If you're already in fun, I wouldn't panic sell, but I wouldn't pick up any more right now either. Just kind of wait and see what it does with this ascending triangle. Or I'm sorry, with this descending triangle. hold my coins until I die before I sell for a loss. Actually, something kind of interesting. Sorry, I hate to get off topic. Let me pull up Synovio real quick. But while I pull that up, I'm going to tell you another little story. It's not really a story, it's just a little fun fact. So I've been kind of thinking about the whole I'll hold my coins until I die kind of thing. And so I was thinking about it, and it, not to be totally doom and gloom, but if if anyone did die right now, and no one else knew what your private keys were, no one else had access to your exchange, and a lot of these exchanges are so secure that if you lose your private key or if you lose your two-factor authentication, it is really difficult to get access to that account again. And so I've been kind of thinking about trying to create some kind of token or something that would serve as an intermediary for kind of like a after death savings account kind of thing that family members would have access to if you got locked out of your coins. I don't know. It's just a crypto idea that I've been kind of batting around and trying to figure out how it would work. I got to figure out the technicals of how something like that would work, but something that would essentially offer traders insurance so that if you do get hit by a bus and die, all of your coins don't die with you. Your family has some way of getting access to them. George, you're a smart man, but unfortunately, most people don't have backups of that information. All right, let me pick up Synovio. Snove. Without looking at it, I've got a feeling Synovio is basically just going to be at rock bottom, waiting to jump back up. Let's see, Snove. 3 cents. Whew. That is rough. Man, Snove has really been playing with our emotions. Yeah, I mean, so this would have been where I expected it to stop. I'm going to get to the 8 hours since that tells the story. Yeah, I mean, based on a triangle pattern, well, you're smarter than most people, George. Can't tell you how many professional traders I know that don't have backups, or at least don't have a way for their family to find that information if they were to pass away. Pretty crazy. Hopefully your wife or someone in your family knows how to get access to the safe and get those flash drives, because if you kick the bucket, I'm assuming that they're going to want to redeem your coins. Yeah, Ryan, you should write down the login details and put it in a safe so that, if anything, God forbid, anything does happen, your coins aren't lost forever. That's something that everyone definitely needs to do. But bad news for Snovio, or at least not good news. I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad news, but the triangle that we've been kind of keeping our eye on, this is the area of support. Oh, what just happened? Come on. This thing's a real pain. God, come on. All right. So that's the area of support. So this is, sorry, let me, right there. All right, so that is the descending triangle. So there was an area of support down here that was keeping price up, and I would have expected this to boop its way up out of this triangle and start doing cool things. And instead, it's just kind of consolidated sideways. And to make matters worse, it's actually dropped a little bit. You can see it's actually lower than the initial exchange price by a kind of significant amount. 50%? That can't be right. I guess it is. It's almost 50% lower than it was when it hit the exchange. It's a little bit crazy. Sorry, I'm reading back up. George, once it rebounds, it's probably my wife that killed me for my coin profits. That's a little bit doom and gloom, but hey. Here's hoping that you don't die as soon as the market finally recovers. You've waited this long. I think you deserve to be satisfied by a market recovery. Yeah, there's not really a whole lot to mark with technicals for this, honestly. I could sit here and draw a bunch of fancy lines, but there's not really much. The only thing that I can see is that a good sign that we've broken out of this is going to be if it breaks above this level. And I'll post this screenshot in the chat too, because there is a trend line resistance here. Boop. So there is that trend line. Was expecting it to do that. It didn't. This is also, and so I'm expecting this to come up and treat this kind of as a, oh dear. I hate that it doesn't save any of my settings. So that's kind of my look on Snove. I have not lost faith in this project. I think it's actually a pretty cool project, but I am a little bit disappointed at how far it's dropped. I expected it when all of this started happening in the first place. Oh, killing me. I expected it to catch support here. And it didn't. I am sad. This is what it's going to look like when it finally recovers, though. So, kind of just waiting on Snove. You can see that there's also a pretty big sell wall here. It's kind of disappointing. Or a pretty deep sell wall, I should say. low volume, not a lot of interest, surprisingly, because I think it's a pretty cool project. But if you don't have Snove, it's good. It's a good time to pick it up. I will tell you that. I mean, this is definitely hitting 6% or 6 cents. I mean, heck, at all-time high, it was like 25 or 20 cents. So, I mean, 100% return on investment on Snove is not going to be a problem. Take a screenshot of this. And then I will have to call it at that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm in a dispute with my landlord from 2017. So I've got to finish filing some legal documents. Ooh, if you're not in Snove, good time to get in Snove. I think I already have a call open on it, so I'm not going to call it again because Jordan keeps harassing me for calling additional entries on coins. So I'll just kind of make it a freebie and drop it in the chat and let you guys know that you should buy it if you don't already have it. Because Snove is definitely going to give you 100% on it. All right, guys, I will have to wrap it at that. I appreciate you guys coming out. Only 8 people today. Not a lot, but, you know, it is what it is. I always love spending time with you guys. Happy to do it. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. And we will reconvene on Sunday. Yep, I'll make the JAFX video. Let's do our next session on Sunday at 4 p.m. I'm just thinking to make sure there's nothing I'm forgetting. But if there's any issue with that, I will let you guys know. But let's plan on Sunday at 4 p.m. because I know some of you guys have said that time works well for you. So, so yeah, Sunday at 4 p.m. All right, guys. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, just let me know.